obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their gods shall be a snare unto you. And it came to pass, when the angel of the Lord spake these words unto all the children of Israel, that the people lifted up their voice and wept. And they called the name of that place Bochim, and they sacrificed there unto the Lord. Now we did do a bit of background, and we thought about this nation that God just selected from nowhere. They were small, they were insignificant, they were nothing, but God picked them and decided to use them and reveal himself to them. And he took them out of Egypt miraculously, and he led them into the wilderness to a place called Mount Sinai. And there he revealed himself to this nation. And he spoke to them like he spoke to no other nation. And he said, do you want to sign a contract with me? Do you want to be the special people that will know the only true and living God, the creator of heaven and earth? And they said, yes, we do. And he said, well, you'll have to keep these commandments, and you'll have to keep these sacrifices. You'll have to follow me in the way that I want you to follow me. And of course we learned, didn't we, about those two places where they came, where God brought them deliberately to no water. There was no doubt in their minds that God had brought them there, but there was no water, and they rebelled against God, and they slandered God. And God said the second time, when they wouldn't go up into the land, the promised land, he said, you're going to now spend another 38 years to add to the 2 that you've already been wandering in the wilderness before I take you again to the promised land. And he took them into the promised land. And we learned last week that already, just after the death of Joshua, this nation was corrupt. We learned about that Levite, and remember what God did? We said it before. He distributed the Levites throughout the whole of the nation, that they would be the spiritual heartbeat of the nation. They would be men of God that knew the word of God and would spread it to the people in the places that they were. But they didn't. And you find here the Levite man setting up a molten image, setting up teraphim, setting up these household gods, and making a shrine. And the nation, the tribe of Dan, followed that man and took him as their priest all the way up to the top of the country. And they left God's given inheritance, and they went right up to the top. And we learn that Judges is not in chronological order. The last few chapters should be right at the beginning, and that's why we brought them in last week, and that's why we're going to bring them in again this week. And God sends an angel of the Lord. Notice it says, I said, I said. Okay. And he says, I made a contract with you, and I told you that when you came into this land, you're not to follow these people, you're not to worship the gods that they have, you're to be different, you know me, you saw me at Sinai, I expect something different, but you've not obeyed me. And now I'm not going to help you get rid of all these people in this land, it's going to be a problem for you. But there's irony here, because they are not weeping with a changed heart. They're just weeping what we call crocodile tears. They are sad for the consequences of the life that they are living. They are sad for the sin that they are committing, but they have no intention of changing direction. We can be like that. We can cry before the Lord, knowing that the Lord has told us the way we're living is not good. And we are not going to live a victorious Christian life the way that we are. And we weep. And we know what we are doing is wrong. And we know the direction in which we are pointing our life is the wrong direction. And yet we weep, but we still carry on in that direction. So I think in our study we can ask ourselves a simple question in relation to these verses. Do you want a personal revival? Do you? before we go through, as we do on Tuesday night, the subject of the Bible for the whole year. And yet there is no change going to happen. We won't trust God in the places of no water. We won't do what God wants us to do with the thing that we have right at hand, as if God had made us king, when we've not got a kingdom to rule, but we're just going to do it with all our might to God. We're not going to do that. And when we hear tonight's message, we're not going to change. We're going to be sorry. We're going to be sad. We're going to know we're not doing the right thing, but we're not going to take the effort. We're not going to make the moves that's going to change us, that's going to allow the Spirit of God to move through us and make our lives different. The next story we have that fits in this chronological order is in Judges chapter 20. Let's go to 19, chapter 19. Just briefly, we won't spend long, but just on a technicality, so that we know that this was definitely, we are doing this in the right chronological order. Before we have another judge after Joshua died, before we have Othniel, these events are happening between Joshua and the judge Othniel, which we will come to, God willing. It says in chapter 20, verse 28, it says, "And Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, stood before it in those days, saying," so we have Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, the son of Aaron. And you remember him, don't you? When the children of Israel were sinning with the Midianite women, just before they entered the promised land, remember the Zimri of the tribe of Simeon and Cosbi of one of the rulers of the Midianite people, in front of Moses, in front of Joshua, in front of the whole nation, they went in a tent to speak together. And Phinehas said, "I will not tolerate this." And he took a spear into the tent and he pinned them through the belly, both of them, to the floor. God said, "This man has done something great. He has not been afraid to put down the sin that is in this nation." It's the same man. So chapter 20 comes all the way up into chapter 2. That's how we know. Right, let's look at chapter 19. We have a lot of ground to cover, so I will be reading rapidly. Okay? So you just follow. "And it came to pass in those days, when there was no king in Israel, there was a certain Levite," again a Levite, notice, a man of God supposedly, "sojourning on the side of Mount Ephraim, who took to him a concubine out of Bethlehem, Judah." Now, when you read your Bibles, a bit of teaching, when you hear about a concubine, the difference between a concubine and a full wife is this. A concubine is still considered to be that man's wife, but she has no legal rights. So any of the children from her, or anything that she stands in, she will get nothing in the family hierarchy. But she is the man's wife. Okay, that's what the difference between a wife and a concubine in the Old Testament, put simply. "And his concubine played the prostitute, the whore, against him, and went away from him unto her father's house to Bethlehem, Judah, and was there 4 whole months. And her husband arose and went after her to speak friendly unto her, to bring her again, having his servant with him, and a couple of asses. And she brought him into her father's house. And when the father of the damsel saw him, he rejoiced to meet him. And his father-in-law, the damsel's father, retained him. And he abode with him 3 days. So they did eat and drink and lodge there. And it came to pass on the 4th day, when they arose early in the morning, that he rose up to depart. And the damsel's father said unto his son-in-law, Comfort thine heart with a morsel of bread, and afterward go your way. And they sat down and did eat and drink, both of them together. For the damsel's father had said unto the man, Be content, I pray thee, and tarry all night, and let thine heart be merry. And when the man rose up to depart, his father-in-law urged him. Therefore he lodged there again. And he arose early in the morning on the 5th day to depart. And the damsel's father said, Comfort thine heart, I pray thee. And they tarried until afternoon, and they did eat both of them. And when the man rose up to depart, he and his concubine and his servant, his father-in-law, the damsel's father, said unto him, Behold, now the day draws toward evening. I pray you tarry all night. Behold, the day groweth to an end. Lodge here, that thine heart may be merry, and tomorrow get you early on your way, that you may go home. But the man would not tarry that night, but he rose up and departed, and came over against Jebus, which is Jerusalem, and there were with him 2 asses saddled. His concubine also was with him. So you get the story here about this Levite man, and he's gone to fetch his wife, who is a concubine. A Levite should not have a concubine. And she's obviously not a good person to have married. And she's playing a prostitute. And he goes down to fetch her back home. And he goes and meets his father-in-law, who has allowed his daughter to be a prostitute in his house, and he has decided to get her and take her back home. But unfortunately, the father-in-law says, no, let's sit and eat together. And they sit and eat together, and they drink together. I think drinking alcohol is not too clear, but they love to eat and drink and party and do whatever they're doing for 5 days. And then on the 5th day, the final day, it's time. He says, I've got to go. And the man says, hey, this is crazy for you to leave now. The sun is about to set. Why are you going to leave right now? Wait another day. He says, I'm not waiting another day. I am leaving. I am going. Let's read on. Verse 11. And when they were by Jebus, the day was far spent. And the servant said unto his master, Come, I pray thee, and let us turn into the city of the Jebusites, and lodge in it. And his master said unto him, We will not turn aside hither into the city of a stranger, that is not of the children of Israel. We will pass over to Gibeah. So as they come along, they come to a city called Jebus, and the servant says to the Levite priest, he says, let's go in here for the night. It's getting dark. We go in here, we can be safe. And the guy says, no. We're not going in there because it doesn't belong to us. But don't you see again, this is the whole problem. Jebus became Jerusalem. David captured it further in the future. But right now it belongs to the Jebusites. What are the Jebusites doing in that city? It's the tribal land that God gave to Judah. But Judah have failed to grasp their inheritance. Judah have failed to push these people out. And this Levite says, I don't feel safe by being there. There's failure upon failure. In this story that we're going to learn here, there is failure upon failure upon failure. And how God's heart must have been so wounded by these people. So he says we're going to pass on to Gibeah, verse 13. And he said unto his servant, Come, and let us draw near to one of these places to lodge all night in Gibeah or in Ramah. And they passed on and went their way, and the sun went down upon them when they were by Gibeah, which belongs to Benjamin. And they turned aside thither to go in and to lodge in Gibeah. And when he went in, he sat him down in the street of the city, and there was no man that took them into his house for lodging. And behold, there came an old man from his work out of the field at evening, which was also of Mount Ephraim. And he sojourned in Gibeah, but the men of the place were Benjamites. And when he had lifted up his eyes, he saw a wayfaring man in the street of the city. And the old man said, Whither goest thou? And whence comest thou? And he said unto him, We are passing from Bethlehem, Judah, toward the side of the Mount Ephraim, from thence I am. And I went to Bethlehem, Judah, but I am now going to the house of the Lord. And there is no man that receives me to house. I just want to stop there briefly. In verse 18, he says, this Levite says, I am going to the house of the Lord. What a mess. He's heading to the house of the Lord. And you and I, we have come tonight to the house of the Lord. We have come on Tuesday night to the house of the Lord, or we may have come with our hearts and our minds just like these people. This man was not a godly man. This man had no intention of serving God. It was just his position. It was just his thing. That's what he did. And he's going to the house of the Lord after spending 5 days just dilly-dallying, eating and drinking with his father-in-law. Verse 19. Yet there is both straw and provident for our asses, and and there is bread and wine also for me and for thy handmaid, and for the young man which is with thy servants. There is no want of anything. And the old man said, Peace be with thee. Howsoever, let all thy wants lie upon me, only lodge not in the street. So he brought him into his house, and gave food unto the asses, and they washed their feet, and did eat and drink. Now as they were making their hearts merry, we have a repetition again. He's met a new man, he's in his house, and they're going to make themselves merry. Behold, the men of the city, certain sons of Belial, beset the house round about, and beat at the door, and spake to the master of the house, the old man, saying, Bring forth the man that came into thine house, that we may know him. The people in the city came to that house, and they knocked on the door. These are brutal scriptures. They knocked on the door, and they said, That man who's visiting you, we want to rape him. You put him outside the door so we can rape him. Sodomized him. Verse 23, And the man, the master of the house, went out unto them and said unto them, No, my brethren, no, I pray you, do not so wickedly. Seeing that this man is come into mine house, do not this folly. So we have this old man. Maybe he's a good man. Maybe he's a godly man. And he says, this is the wrong thing to do. He's my visitor. You should not do this thing. This thing is a very bad thing to do. Then he lets himself down very, very badly. Behold, in verse 24, here is my daughter, a maiden, and this man's concubine. Then will I bring out now, and you can humble them and do with them what seems good to you, but unto this man do no vile thing. What kind of men is this? What kind of a man is this? What debauchery! I will give you my daughter, and he'll give you his concubine, and you can do what you want. Verse 25, But the men would not hearken to him. So the man took his concubine and brought her forth unto them, and they knew her and abused her all night until the morning. When the day began to spring, they let her go. Then came the woman in the dawning of the day, and fell down at the door of the man's house where his lord was, till it was light. And her lord rose up in the morning and opened the doors of the house, and went out to go his way. And behold, the woman, his concubine, was fallen down at the door of the house, and her hands were upon the threshold. And he said unto her, Up, and let us be going. But none answered. Then the man took her up upon his ass, and the man rose up and got back to his place. What kind of a man is this? It seems like he went to sleep and slept well. And he opens the door of his house, and he finds his concubine lying there, prostrate on the floor. And he says, Hey, get up. It's time to go. What an evil man. She doesn't answer. She's dead. Could be even more technical than that. We won't go into that. But she's dead. Now the most horrific thing he does. When he had come into his house, he took a knife and he laid hold of his concubine and divided her up into pieces, 12 pieces, and sent her into all the coasts of Israel. And it was so that they saw it. When Israel saw it, there was no such deed done nor seen from the day that the children of Israel came up out of the land of Egypt unto this day. Consider of it, take advice, and speak your minds. This Levite was supposed to be preparing animal sacrifices to offer to God, not humans. He sends a part of her body to all the 12 tribes and says, there's been an outrage here. How can he stand and say there's an outrage here when he's just done what he's done? Let's see what happens. And all the children of Israel went out, and the congregation was gathered together as one man, from Dan even to Beersheba, with the land of Gilead unto the Lord in Mizpah. That's how we know that what we did last week with the tribe of Dan changing its location had already happened. That's how we get the chronology, because it says that they gathered the whole nation from Dan at the top to Beersheba at the bottom, and the whole of Gilead, which is the 2.5 tribes land on the far side of Jordan. And the chief of all the people, even of all the tribes of Israel, presented themselves in the assembly of the people of God, 400,000 footmen that drew sword. Now the children of Benjamin heard that the children of Israel were gone up to Mizpah. Then said the children of Israel, tell us, how was this wickedness? So all the people are apparently horrified, and all the people gather together at Mizpah. The whole nation gathers, and they ask this Levite. He must have been, I wonder whether he was just an ordinary Levite. I wonder if he wasn't somebody more senior. But this Levite is just named, probably because of the shame of the story. But he's there in front of the nation, and the nation say to that Levite, they say, what caused you to do such a horrific thing to call us to this meeting? What does he say? And the Levite, the husband of the woman that was slain, killed, answered and said, I came into Gibeah that belongs to Benjamin, I and my concubine, to lodge. And the men of Gibeah rose against me and beset the house round about upon me by night, and thought to have slain me. And my concubine have they forced that she is dead. And I took my concubine and cut her in pieces, and sent her throughout all the country of the inheritance of Israel, for they have committed lewdness and folly in Israel. How can he say that what's happened to him was lewd and folly? It was. But how can he then stand righteously and say that what he has done is not lewd and folly? And he says they came to kill me. That's not true. And they forced my concubine. That's not true. He threw her out the door. He's not telling the truth. He's massaging it. He doesn't say, did he, that he was busy eating and drinking, and it was the fifth day, and it was so late he shouldn't have been traveling. This whole circumstance came because he was not getting up early in the morning and doing the right thing and taking the journey early. He was busy squandering the day and leaving late. Spiritually, are we like that? Busy doing this, busy doing that, and when God wants a job done, a work done, we leave when it's too late. Then problems come, and we blame God, and we massage it and say, it's not my fault, it's not me who did it, somebody else did it, I was the victim. I have an alcohol problem, and I passed the pub at 11:30 at night, it was nearly midnight, and my friend came out and he gave me a beer, and unfortunately I went in and I got drunk and I did some bad things. It wasn't my fault, it was the guy who came out. No, you were passing by. You should have been in bed. You shouldn't be doing those kind of things. What do the people say? And all the people, verse 8 of chapter 20, all the people arose as one man, saying, will not any of us go to his tent, neither will any of us turn inside his house. But now this thing shall be the thing which we will do to Gibeah. We will go out by lot against it, and we will take 10 men of 100 throughout all the tribes of Israel, and 100 of 1,000, and 1,000 out of 10,000, to fetch victual for the people, that we may go when they come to Gibeah of Benjamin, according to all the folly that they have wrought in Israel. So all the men of Israel were gathered against the city, knit together as one man. Now it sounds good, doesn't it? It sounds good that the nation is appalled, and the nation want to have justice done. And they think that what has been done is absolutely wrong, and so it is. Anyone who wants to commit sodomy should be put to death, the Old Testament says. And sodomy should not have been in Israel. But here it is, rampant in a town in Israel. Israelites. And they're all saying, we're going to deal with this. We're going to sort it out. Let's see. They're knit together as one man. Verse 12, the tribes of Israel sent men through all the tribe of Benjamin, saying, what wickedness is this that is done among you? Now therefore deliver us the men, the children of the devil, Belial, which are in Gibeah, that we may put them to death and put away evil from Israel. But the children of Benjamin would not hearken to the voice of their brethren, the children of Israel. They came to Benjamin and they said to the tribe of Benjamin, there's been some people in Gibeah that did a very bad thing, and we want to put them to death. We want them to have the just rewards of their deeds. We want them to be judged rightly. You hand them to us, we'll put them to death, and then this matter is closed. But the whole tribe said, oh no. We support these people. We support what they have done. How horrific that is that. Verse 14. But the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together out of the cities unto Gibeah to go out to battle against the children of Israel. And the children of Benjamin were numbered at that time out of the cities, 26,000 men that drew the sword, besides the inhabitants of Gibeah, which were numbered 700 chosen men. Among all this people were 700 chosen men left-handed. Everyone could sling stones at a hairbreadth and not miss. And the men of Israel beside Benjamin were numbered 400,000 men that drew sword, all that were men of war. So now we have it. The nation of Israel is mobilized with 400,000 men. And the tribe of Benjamin is mobilized with its 26,700 men. And there's going to be a battle. What should be done? Let's look. Among all this people, verse 18. And the children of Israel arose and went up to the house of God and asked counsel of God, and said, which of us shall go up first to the battle against the children of Benjamin? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up first. So it says, Israel went to the house of God. That's not a bad thing, is it? They went to the house of God to ask counsel of God, to ask God's opinion about this. But I want to suggest to you that they're asking the wrong question. They're saying, who should go up for the battle against Benjamin? Who should go and fight Benjamin? They should have asked God and said to God, what do we do? What do we do here? What do we do in this situation? These men should be put to death. They won't give us these men to put them to death. The whole tribe has supported these evil men. What should we do? But they said to God, they said, who should go up to fight? And God said, Judah shall go up first. So they've asked God a question. God has given an answer. Let's see what happens. And the children of Israel rose up in the morning and encamped against Gibeah. And the men of Israel went out to battle against Benjamin. And the men of Israel put themselves in array to fight against them at Gibeah. And the children of Benjamin came forth out of Gibeah and destroyed down to the ground of the Israelites that day 22,000 men. God, who should go up? Send Judah. Judah goes up to fight against Benjamin, and Benjamin kill of Judah 22,000 men. For the cost, if you work out all the numbers, for the cost of maybe 50 of their own men being killed. 50 Benjamites killed, roughly, approximately, maybe. And 22,000 warriors of Judah killed. But we asked God. We went to the house of God and we asked God who should go up. And God said Judah should go up. And Judah's gone up and 22,000 of them were killed. Verse 22, and the people, the men of Israel, encouraged themselves and set their battle again in array in the place where they had put themselves in array the first day. And the children of Israel went up and wept before the Lord until even. And they asked counsel of the Lord, saying, shall I go up again to battle against the children of Benjamin my brother? And the Lord said, go up against him. So now they come again to God, and they say to God, with tears in their eyes, they say to God, should we go up to battle this time? And God says, yes, you go fight. Go fight. 24. And the children of Israel came near against the children of Benjamin the second day. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day, and destroyed down to the ground of the children of Israel again 18,000 men. All these drew the sword. Should we go up and fight against Benjamin? They've done this wicked, evil thing. They are supporting wicked, evil men. We need to teach them a lesson. Should we go and fight them? You go and fight them. And 18,000 more are killed of them. They didn't do anything to that Levite. They didn't kill the concubine. They're doing the right thing, surely. But 18,000 are killed for roughly another 50 of the Benjamites killed. And Benjamin went forth against them out of Gibeah the second day and destroyed down to the ground the children of Israel, 18,000 men that all these drew the sword. Then all the children of Israel and all the people went up and came into the house of God and wept and sat there before the Lord and fasted that day until even and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. They're going up to the house of God and they're weeping and they're sitting in front of the Lord and they're fasting until the evening and they're offering burnt offerings and peace offerings. And the children of Israel inquired of the Lord, for the ark of the covenant of God was there in those days, and that's where we learn when Phinehas the son of Eleazar the son of Aaron was there. I wonder if he was a good man. I don't know. I hope he ended his days well. I hope he ended his days well. He must surely be a good man, and he's being asked these questions by a wayward and a wicked nation. And the Lord said, "Go up, for tomorrow I will deliver them into your hand." Verse 29, and Israel set lions in wait around about Gibeah. There's a lot of how they ambushed Gibeah, how they went behind, they laid some people in ambush. Okay, let's go to verse 43. Thus they enclosed the Benjamites round about and chased them and trod them down with ease over against Gibeah toward the sun rising. And there fell of Benjamin 18,000 men. All of these were men of valor. And they turned and fled toward the wilderness under the rock of Rimmon, and they gleaned of them in the highways 5,000 more, and pursued after them unto Gibeah, and slew 2,000 men of them. So 25,100 men were killed in the battle on the third day by the Israelites. The tribe of Benjamin was virtually destroyed. But 600 men turned and fled to the wilderness of the rock Rimmon, and abode in the rock Rimmon 4 months. And the men of Israel turned again unto the children of Benjamin, and smote them with the edge of the sword, as well the men of every city as the beast and all that came to hand. And also they set on fire all the cities that they came to. So the Israelites, after these other guys here, these 600 men had managed to camp on top of a rock. They were left there, the 600 men, remains of Benjamin, and then the Israelite army went into the tribal area and land of Benjamin and burned the cities and destroyed everything. We are running out of time, even though I'm going at 100 miles an hour. But what they now do, again, is an absolute confusion. They do not ask God anything now, but they suddenly start to get sad. We have lost a tribe of Israel. The tribe of Benjamin has been almost annihilated. How can we have a nation of 12 tribes when one tribe has been finished? And without asking God, without again consulting God, they say, these 600 men on top of the mountain, they need wives. Now they made another huge mistake, because when they gathered together as a nation to deal with this problem, they said anybody who gives their daughter as a wife to the tribe of Benjamin will be cursed. So they've locked themselves in another position. Instead of asking God what they should do, they've made all these vows, done all these things, which we're going to try and come and analyze at the end here. They've done all these things without asking God the way forward. It's an absolute mess. So they say we can't give them our daughters. So they say, how are we going to give them wives? Actually, what we'll do is, let's look and see, because we made another vow. Another vow that we made was this, that anybody who didn't come to gather with us here to sort out Benjamin, they would also be in trouble. So they searched, and they found that nobody had come from the town of Jabesh Gilead. No one. And they said, there we go, there's the answer. So they picked out 12,000 of their best soldiers, and they said, go to Jabesh Gilead, a city of the Israelites, and kill all the men, everything, except the women. And bring those women, and we'll give those women to those 600 guys on top of this rock Rimmon. So they now compound all this huge quagmire mess. This 600 minus 400 is 200, not so. They were 200 short. So they said, what are we going to do for those remaining 200 men? Somebody said, well, you know, about this time, between Shechem and Shiloh, ladies go and they go dancing, they go partying, and they go dancing at this festival. You don't find that in Numbers and Leviticus, do you? How wayward the people were, just after Joshua's died. This is what's so stunning. And he says, they go dancing. Now what we're going to do is send a message to those 200 guys who haven't got a wife, and tell them about this festival where all these ladies are going to be dancing. And tell them that they can run in there and grab a girl and take that girl for their wife. And we know that the fathers and mothers of those daughters who have attended that festival where they're dancing are going to come to us and say, hey, why have you allowed our daughters to be taken like this and taken to those men? And you know what we'll tell them? We'll say, shh, it's okay. We know you said, and we all said, that none of our daughters were allowed to be given to these Benjamites, but you see, you didn't have control. It's not your fault. It just happened. The fact that they were kidnapped, and that also is the death penalty, the fact that they were kidnapped doesn't matter. And so those 200 now can go there with the 400 that came from Jabesh Gilead. And then they said to the Benjamites, they said, are you okay now? Are you happy that you've got your wives, you men that are remaining on that hill? And they said, we're fine. They said, you go back to Benjamin where we've destroyed all your cities. And they said they went back there and they started to repair their cities and to live there again. Can we not confess this afternoon that this is an absolutely dreadful history in the nation of Israel? And in Hosea it's quoted twice. Because I do not know whether this thing which has come into my life is an attack from the enemy,